What's up guys, this is Zach from Angles Escape, and today I want to do a quick top 5 catfishing tips video. I'm actually doing a catfish tournament out here on the Missouri River. It's July, hopefully you have some luck. But anyway, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to just kind of go over a few tips for catfishing. And so the first tip I have for you guys is whenever you go catfishing, bring 2 setups. One for the real big catfish, and that's where you're going to be using big cut baits or live baits. Here's a half of a creek chub that I'm using on an 8/0 circle. And for the big pole, I usually just go ahead and throw on 100-pound braid, about an 8/0 circle, and I'll use live or a big piece of cut bait. And so this one will sit there. I'll get usually less bites, but I'll definitely get bigger fish on it. Then what I do is I have a pole with like 20-30-pound monofilament, a little smaller. And then what I'll do with that is I'll either have like a smaller piece of cut bait and a 4/0 circle hook instead of that 8/0, or a lot of times I'll have a pole that's just got about 15-pound test line, and I'll just fish with worms for pan-sized catfish. So this way I can catch some. So this is my catfishing rod and reel setup just for smaller catfish, maybe under 5 pounds. And so those are the catfish I'm going to keep to eat, and they kind of keep me busy throughout the night. You're going to catch a lot more 1 to 5 pounders than you are going to catch 40-pound monster catfish. But it's nice to have a kind of a variety of baits. You're targeting the small catfish and the big catfish at the same time. So you're getting the action on the little catfish, and then you have the chance to catch that big fish. And so the next thing about catfishing, tip number 2, is you always want to be fishing on the bottom generally. Catfish are bottom feeders for the most part. And so basically you want a big enough weight. In rivers you might need 8 ounces to even a pound of weight to get it down there. Here's an 8-ounce weight. And I got this off Craigslist. You can also get them off eBay from people who locally make them, and you can get a really good deal that way. Basically what I have is a sliding setup, and so I just have my weight tied onto my line, real simple, then a swivel, and then about another 1.5 to 2 feet is my bait. So this way when the fish starts to take the bait, they don't feel the pressure of the weight. They can kind of freely take line for a little bit. And so you always want to be fishing on the bottom, whether you're fishing for the small catfish or the big catfish. So there's 2 tips. Always bring 1 pole for the big catfish, 1 pole for the small catfish, and then always be fishing on the bottom. Tip number 3 is timing. Now catfishing, timing can be everything. Sometimes you'll go out to the same spot, catch nothing for 5 hours, then you'll come back real early or late at night and you'll just hammer them. So catfish, I find, usually bite best at night, especially dawn and dusk. Midday, a lot of times it can be really hard, especially to catch the bigger catfish, but I've had all my luck usually right after dark or right before sunup. Great times to go fishing. So if you're not catching the big ones, try those later time slots. If for the smaller catfish, like 1 to 5 pounds, I wouldn't worry too much about going out at night. You can catch them during the day just as easily as night a lot of times. But the big guys, if you want to catch those, you got to go dawn and dusk or overnight. All right, so tip number 4, guys, is to use as strong a pound test line as you can get your hands on. I find catfish do not care if pound test line is 100 pound or 10 pound. Unlike trout, crappie, and bluegill, which are real line sensitive, catfish don't really care. I'll throw out a trot line with 300-pound big thick string and they'll bite right on the trot line, that 300-pound string right next to the hook, and they don't care. I get just as many bites as I would if I was fishing with 10-pound monofilament. So in that case, what I do for my big setup, I just go ahead, go all out with a 100-pound braid. You can get, there's a really good brand for you guys, Braid Fisherman. This was 22 bucks for 1,000 meters, super cheap, and it's like a lifetime supply. But this way you don't have to worry about that fish breaking you off and losing the fish of a lifetime. Just go ahead and upsize your line, pound test line for catfish. While other fish species are pretty line sensitive, catfish you don't really have to worry about, and go ahead and up the pound test line. All right, and tip number 5, guys, is to use fishing forums. And what I mean by this is go to the internet and search your local lake, river, stream, whatever it is, and see if you can find a fishing report. In Kansas City area, there's a Facebook page for Kansas City catfishing. There's also a forum that's really good for catfishing called catfish1.com. Missouri, Kansas, there's a lot of people posting on there actively saying where they caught, what fish they caught, what bait they caught on what time of day, and that can be a treasure trove of information. So go ahead and check out, just do a Google search on your local lake, river, whatever, see if you can find a fishing report, and that can help you a lot in catfishing. So I hope you learned something here today, and you'll try out one of these tips, and thanks for watching.